Now, as you can see, I've got a basic sketch here on the canvas. This is going to be just a little trellis for our flowers or rose bushes to grow on. And but what's really interesting is this makes a doorway kind of in our landscape where I'm going to pull this little winding path up the hill with steps and then a brick wall on either side and just some background, and it's going to be interesting. There's a lot in this painting, so I think it's probably worthwhile to go ahead and do the sketch. So of course I'm painting in acrylics today. Let's go ahead and get some sort of a background color going. I don't know really what we want other than a green. Oh, not that green, I put too much blue in it. Here's what you can do, put a little red in it. Now red obviously is a foreground color, so you don't want to go too much red, but it was just, I didn't like the blue. Maybe I'll do blue sky, you know, have some blue sky shining through. You could do this with a bigger brush. I'm just scrubbing this in, and I've just got my canvas tone with some sort of a kind of a muddy gray. Just mixed it up real quick. Hey, before we go too far, let's take a look at the paintings that you guys did in my last one. It's always fun to see what you're doing. So if you're not already, you can share your paintings using the information on the screen. And if I see them in time, I'll get them in the next video. That'll be fun. I'm going to underpaint this section here just slightly differently than the trees that are in the background there. I'm going to go with a lighter color. I'm going to go with a lighter color, and that's just because this is kind of out to me out in the sunlight and be a little more interesting, you know, that way. You can add your shadows. We'll obviously need shadows, but we'll add them in later. Okay. Hey, you know what we need to do? I need to give credit to my Patreons here. If you are not a member yet, you can go over to Patreon because I do some different things. We do live streams and I do some really, really long format lessons over there and just some stuff you may be interested in. Not to mention I've got some of my really old videos, and all the time I'm going on there reacting to different things, you know, I react to my old videos and stuff. So give it a try. You may enjoy it. There, let's see, get that little foothill thing back in there. Good. It's slopey, very slopey. Oh, it's pretty. You got to start with color. I don't want it to just be green. In the background, it's okay to have less color. But in the foreground, my grass isn't green. My grass is like 10 or 12 different colors. And that's what's going to bring this painting to the next level. It makes a big difference. You can look and see. In my opinion, it makes a big difference. This is not a highlight. This is a mid-tone and a basic underpainting. See that? But I'm putting it in very random. Very random. See that? Allowing just all these colors to play together. See that? And I like what that is doing. Now I've got kind of a muddy color. It's really made from some purple, and I put a little yellow ochre number in it. I think it'll be nice for the just a tone to start with for a little brick wall. I've done brick walls before in the past, but pretty rare. Maybe like an Italian scene or maybe on a farm or something, but we don't do them very much. So I'm just going to kind of take it little by little. The point in that is I want to take it little by little because I'm not quite as confident doing this. But if you break, even, you know, if you're not used to doing an object in a landscape, it's no big deal. Break it down into simple little components, little bits of, you know, contrast and color and shadow, highlight, you know, it'll be all right. Break it down into simple steps where you're not going to get carried away. I'm going to take some of our Prussian blue and white here, mix those together and just create maybe just a little bit of, there's my red, just a little bit of red there, not too much, just to warm it up slightly. All right, that's good enough. I'm going to probably end up having to do a couple of coats of this, but I just want to place in a couple of little dots here and there of background sky. Of course, this is something that we've did, I think last time we painted. There, just placing in these little dots. You can go back in and make them a little more solid, but I like to just touch them and fuzzy out. Yes, that is the proper and very technical art term for that. The edges there, just like that. You get those little sky holes opened up within this area. And this is actually not too worried about this because I have limbs growing over that, so it doesn't make as much of a difference. But I'll just bring in a few touches here and there. Now with some burnt umber, here's a little bit of our yellow ochre, maybe even some red. I do think we need that red and white, just whatever. I'm going to paint my staircase in. Got to get this in, and I'm really going to try and do a lot of my background excluding our little archway because I'm going to probably glaze this or float some color over this, and just to give it a little mistiness and to push it back, especially in the background area. Get some of this action going here on these steps. Just a nice little, oh, that's even better. There's some of that shadow. Not too much shadow at all. Don't want too much shadow. This is supposed to be more like dirt in between the steps. Now I'm coming in with kind of a gray tone here, and I'm just getting a little bit of detail here on the top of these steps. These are stone steps. Again, that's dirt in the middle. You may not be able to tell so much how it works right this minute, but it'll make sense once I develop it a little further. And of course, as you go back, it's important, at least it is to me in my painting here, to let them be like all together one piece, not separated so much, because as you go back, you're seeing less and less detail. Now I've got the microfilbert brush. I'm going to add, using this brush, I'm going to add some cracks in these rocks, mostly in the ones here in the foreground. If you've ever painted, one of my like Italian scenes or something like that, this is very similar to the rock work we would do in a painting like that. And we'll put in just a few little cracks like so. Boom. Nice. See that? Little chips and broken spots, because it's supposed to look like more or less boulders and rocks, not so much carved stone. This is, after all, just a garden. Now my background is dry. That's important. Let's go ahead and glaze just a little bit. There's just some white and some water. Just some water and white. See that right there? Nice and thin. That's important. All right, right up here. I'm gonna glaze on some white back here to create some atmosphere. See that? Oh, that's pretty. Actually, all of these trees need a little atmosphere. It would be pretty, not much, but I mean the tiniest little touch of blue to that would be good. I think it would create just, again, a little more of a foggy look. I think I meant to do that and forgot. That's a little much, but you know what? Here's the secret to this too, is it dries out quite a bit more translucent than, dries out more translucent than when you put it on. So I put it on and it looks like, whoa, we can't even see back there. But now, once it dries, it'll be okay. I'm going to tap in here some foliage, some bushes, and well, these are, I guess, these little climbing vines and stuff that are growing up around this trellis. See, there you go. Look at that. And look at how that contrasts well against this mist, which of course has been given a few minutes to dry. There's my bushes. It goes up just slightly there on that side to help the eye flow in. You can have more trees hanging in from this side if you like. Not worried about any of that just yet. Let's go ahead and continue. And same here with the trellis. I've got very minimal effort in that trellis. I just quickly, after doing the mist, I just quickly re-outlined it again, just kind of bring it forward, but very little, because I know a lot of this is still going to have to be accomplished. Let me get just a little bit, slightly different color. Say I don't want it all just that one dark color. Mix in different colors as you go. I've got my dark color slightly thinned, and I'm going to just begin to brush in like this, little upward strokes to create tall grassy areas. I don't want to cover up all my beautiful color down here, but we've got to add shadows. See, I was just throwing color down just for the sake of throwing it down, but now I want to create some shadows within it. I've got some water in this color. And what that water will do is it will actually dry a little bit more transparent. So you may not see it real good on the camera, but I'm anticipating that I'm going to see, in fact, I see it here happening even as it's drying that quickly. I'm going to see a little bit of my colors showing through even in the dark grass. And I think that'll be very interesting. You know, this wall may need to be a little darker because it's shaded. It's right. It wouldn't be so bright. It's not out in the sun. This one may be a little brighter. I don't know, but they're kind of, they're leaping forward. I'm going to have to push them back. And then over here, we'll just do the same old thing. Just get some of this grass in. Just developing this land area a little taller. I like that taller grass. Well, maybe not too tall. Somebody's obviously caring for this, and we want them to look like they mow it, probably. Now I've got this kind of fairly light yellow, some yellow ochre in it too, highlight color. Running out of paint. It's time to stop and get more out. It's either mixed up, gone, or dried on the palette, right? That's acrylic for you. Anyway, I've got this light yellow color, okay? I know what a light's coming through like this. You could just as well have it the other way. It doesn't really matter. But once you make a decision, you got to stick with it. That matters. I'm going to come up here. Let's just begin to tap. Now, of course, I tap this on my palette like this, and I break the bristles open so that I've got a little bit of a nice leafy shape. Oh, this is my number 4 bristle brush still. And this will get you a smaller leaf than something, say, like your little microfiber brush. It would be a bigger leaf as you do it, you know, with comma strokes. This I'm just tapping like you would with a filbert brush, a larger filbert brush in oil. Same idea. I don't want much paint though. See, it's a fairly dry brush, and I just want to stipple and create that look of a little highlight on these limbs, branches. The reason I'm doing this now is because this is a very dark, big, dark spot, and it's not going to be dark. Not that dark through this painting. It's maybe not the feature. It won't be incredibly bright, but the flowers on top will. You know, what if we do flowers up on here, like a rose bush climbing up? But to me, these are just like little trees and bushes. These are not like climbing roses here, but you could do climbing roses. Now I have the custom tapered round brush going here. What would happen if we had just the tiniest flavor of sun rays? I don't want to go crazy. I don't really want people to say, oh, this is a sun ray painting. But what if we just had that flavor right there? Can you see it? It's not much. Right here, maybe. Just a flavor of a little bit of shafts of light, just ever so slightly coming through the painting. I don't really, again, I don't really want people to notice it too much. I just kind of want it to be there. And maybe, can we do something right here that might be a little bit more noticeable? See that? Even just to draw your eye toward that little park bench. Whatever that is there, a bench. There, oh, that's pretty. Now finally I can put in some flowers here. And you know what? They need just a little bit of white. It's not opaque enough. I've got some red, yellow ochre, and white just for this little section. I don't know what I'll do later. There's a little foundation medium, just help it flow along. I like the foundation medium in there. Oh yeah, that's good. So anyway, we'll just continue to work in just some flowers, you know, not perfect, just kind of random little smudges. These are supposed to be roses, so if you can do a rose, think of a rose shape as you do this, you know, that might be good. might be helpful. Okay, there we go. See, look at your overall shape. You don't want to just go up there and, at least I certainly don't. I don't want to go up there and just do a random shape. It might come out with something like a square or something weird. See, I want to focus here on the actual shape of the outer edge of the clump of flowers, not as much as each individual. See what I mean? I think that's pretty. I don't want it to be too plain in there. I think that really, because there's not a lot going on in the paint. I mean, the middle's pretty, but over here needs something, you know? If you got red over here, it's a good idea to put it over here as well to balance it out. Now I'm going to place on some different bits here, you know, little flowers and whatnot, or just leaves for the flowers. So there's some right there, kind of touch them and feather them in. Right over here, some leaves, and just beginning to create some amount of foliage. I don't really have a solid plan for this. In fact, I ought to be kind of careful. I probably shouldn't do much of this, to tell you the truth, until I get my stonework in, but at least down in the grass I can, right? Maybe not up in the stone area, but in the grass it'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and place on some highlight. There won't be much here to this stone, at least like a little half wall thing, isn't it? It's not very tall. That's a ledge, I guess, right? There you go, just a little smattering of that. I think that'll work. Okay, good. Yeah, maybe. All right, now as we go over here, well, I really don't want much because it is going to be kind of in shadow. Let me just scrub on a little and just rub it with my finger, maybe just to show, hey, there's a little color, a little highlight, what feels like a highlight there. I think it's a little too dark, just given the overall painting. I've got quite a bit of water in it. So there, that's nice, right? See that? I think that's plenty good. That brightens that up some. Of course, we need to do drop shadows behind the plants and whatnot, you know. You can either leave the shadows in or you can paint them in later. Now I'm going to use the microfilbert brush because I think it's pretty convenient for this. And I'm going to create some cracks here within my little rocks. Of course, this should have been done before the plants, but that's why I didn't put hardly any effort in those plants. You can see it's easy to paint around them, just real quick and easy. And then if you want to go and detail your plants out some more, you can, but you don't have to. There you go. Of course, you may want to, I would certainly suggest putting a couple leaves over this. It's always going to look like you did it afterward unless you do that. It won't take just a second. Now our light's coming through like this. So when we highlight these roses, which we're going to do now, we got to keep that in mind. That's going to be pretty important. Let's try this. Microfilbert brush makes sense. It's the only brush really that makes sense to me to do this with. But now roses, so I'm not going to go in and pull like a daisy. I'm going to try to go rounded like a rose. A little bit. See that? Slightly more rose shape. There we go. See, that looks like a rose. I just hit it with a couple of strokes. You know, there's my finger. It's not very big. That rose is just not very big at all. I don't think it needs to be too big. You know, there we go. I see another rose. Fairly straightforward. After that dries, it may be a little darker than I want, so I'll come back with another coat, maybe, and hit it again if it's necessary to. You know, some are little buds and whatnot. They're not all the same. They're not all perfect. I think that would be a very weird thing to have happen if they were all too similar. Now our light's coming through here. We got to remember that as I place in my highlight on the road. This is going to be fairly bright highlight. This is a dark road at this moment, so it's going to seem drastic, but you know, we'll work it in. It won't all be just exactly that color. My mess of palette, mostly dried paint at this point. As you see, you know, there's spots of light, but it's not all light like that. And kind of, well, there, just work it all together, leaving some of our painting underneath showing through, which is good. Cool. Obviously, this does dry out just a little darker, not a lot. If you got good quality paints, your color won't shift on you. That's really important. But this is fine. They will dry out. Just because they're acrylic, they will dry out just a little darker. Now I'm going to use the number 4 bristle brush to just get a little grass here, a little action on the grass. You know, that light coming through. There's some shadow under, probably that. You know, I may glaze this. It's a little warm for me. I'll maybe show you how to do that here in a little bit. But I'm just going to, see that, bring in a couple of these little patches of highlight on the grass. Now, once that's done, you can actually take your white, any color you want. I'm just warming it up a little so it's not pure white. That's not too good for acrylic. Smush my brush in. Okay, what that does is it allows me to just create these little pockets of flowers. See that? That's kind of nice. Yeah, there we go. And what that does is, see, I put just a little bit back up in there. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I did. And so this kind of replicates that here in the foreground. Don't do this till you're done with that path there, which I am. That's all I want is a little shadow. Obviously, this is creating a lot of shadow. Now I'm just going to glaze on a little bit of this thinned down blue color. Just here and there. Try to cool this rock area. I don't want to destroy it, but I do want to just cool it down. It is glazing, so I've got a lot of water in it. There you go. See, that makes to me a big difference. Just, and over here, I just get there, covered with that blue glaze. Maybe even over here on those roses. See, that just cools it down. Not everywhere, just enough. And as that dries, it should be good. My lines should come back. If they don't come back, I can always just, it looks like maybe they won't. There might have been a little too thick on the glaze, not enough water, but it just popped those lines. Look how quick it is to just pop them right back in. Well, that about wraps things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing it. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.